Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy last day of 2025. For those of you who are joining in as a replay viewer, I'm so glad you're here. Go ahead and leave your mark by giving me that hashtag replay. And then for those of you who are joining in for the very first time, let me know that as well. And please make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button right now so that you don't miss anything, especially all throughout 2026 and beyond. I want to go ahead now and welcome my people who are joining in live. Go ahead and number one, greet me in whatever way you do in your part of the world. Number two, let me know where in the world you are joining in from. Number three, please help me by clicking that little thumbs up on the screen. Number four, help me share this broadcast far and wide. And number five, if you are, go ahead and let me know I'm stirred up, and listen. If you're like me, I'm stirred all the way up, all the time. We're going to go ahead and dive in. I'll pray in the spirit for just about 3 minutes. That is our new standard for right now. And then I will share whatever the Lord is laying on my heart for today. And we will go straight into reading the Word of God. We are in the book of Ezekiel. And I believe we're picking up at chapter 32 today. We'll continue on with that. Let's begin to pray. Rakatalarabakoshe tetere bakoshatande, marabakorekerere bakorekere bata, rakatalarabakore bakaya, randi ikarakatatatata, yelere bakorekere baya, rokotalarabakore bata, randi ikarakataya bakosha, rokotalarabakore baya, rekete bakoshandi ikarakata, rokotalarabakore bakore bataya, rakata bakore bata, rekete bakoshe, randi i karakata, rakata bakoshe tete, mandi i karakataya, rekete bakore bata, randi i karakata ta rokota bakore bata, mandi i karakataya la bakore bataya, rekete bakore bata, rakata bakore bata, rekete bakushata, rakata bakore bata, rekete bakore bataya, mandi ikarakataya la bakore baya, rekete bakore bata, rokota bakore bata, rekete bakore bataya, rekete bakore bataya, rokota bakoshi akata, rakata bakore bata, randi ikarakataya, rokota bakore bata, randi ikarakata yele de bakore bataya, rokota bakore bata, mandi ikarakata, rokota de bakoshea, rakata bakore bataya, rekete de bakore bataya, rakata bakore bataya, rekete de bakore bata, mandi ikarakataya, rokota de bakore bata, randi ikarakataya, rokota de bakore bata, rakata de bakore bataya, mandi ikarakataya, rokota de bakore bataya, randi ikarakataya, bakore bataya, mandi I akaya la bakora kadadadaba. Rekete de bako shatandi I karakata. Rekete de bako rekete de bako shaya. Randi I karakata de bako shaya. Rekete de bako shataya. Randi I karakata. Rokota de bako shandi ikai. Marabakoshe ialabakoshata. Randi I karakata da baya. Roko te bakore kede de bakore kede bakoya. Randi I akarakada da baya. Reke te bakoshataya. Randi I karakatataya. Reke te de bakoshaya. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah, Jesus. I'm sitting here and I heard God, I was hearing in my spirit, I was hearing God say in my spirit, trust your hearing. Trust your hearing and trust your knowing. And for those of you who are with me on yesterday, I shared from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 12. And I was actually focusing on the part about how God is hastening his word to perform it, and how God is ready to perform his word, every promise that he has made to us. Yesterday in the afternoon, so I shared that in the morning. And yesterday in the afternoon, I got an incredible message from someone who had sought the Lord about 5 seeds to sow into people for the end of the year as an act of obedience and an act of gratitude. And she said the Lord specifically, she was clearly highlighted me as a person to sow a seed into. And that in and of itself was just so humbling and honoring in and of itself, because I just honor this woman of God. And I was just, the seed wasn't the thing. It was the words that she said to me. And the time that I read it, I didn't make the connection. I just didn't make a connection at that time. And later in the evening, I was sharing with someone about morning stir and how I had shared about how God said, gave me the word fast and told me that when I fast, that things will happen fast. And as I was going back to reflect on Jeremiah 1:12 last night, and I started reading it, and I suddenly saw amplification on the words, "You have seen well." And then it hit me that the words that the woman of God gave to me were from Jeremiah 1:11, the verse before the verse I had mentioned in the morning. What do you see? Was the verse she gave me. And then I go back to what God had given me in the morning. He was telling me I had seen well. Listen, I was so encouraged to know that I was hearing God well, and God was telling me I'm seeing well. My God. And what she said to me in her message, she was praying over me that God would give me clarity, God would cause me to see well. I can't make this stuff up. All that to say, trust your hearing, trust your seeing. You have heard well, you have seen well in 2025. When we cross over tonight, trust what you're hearing and trust what you're seeing. Don't shy away from it. Don't back up off of it. I have some challenging things that I have to walk out even today. I've had some incredible things happen, but I have some challenging things that I have to set in order before I cross over into 2026. You have heard well. You have seen well. Trust it. Trust it. We're going to dive right into the reading of the word for today. Make sure I got the right scripture. We are picking up at Ezekiel chapter 32, and we're going to move on from there. Rakataladabakosheaya. Rakatadadabaya. Oh, rakadadabaya. Handialadadabaya. Let's dive straight in. In the 12th year, on the first day of the 12th month, God's message came to me, Son of man, sing a funeral lament over Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Tell him you think you're a young lion prowling through the nations. You're more like a dragon in the ocean, snorting and thrashing about. God, the master, says, I'm going to throw my net over you. Many nations will get in on this operation and haul you out with my dragnet. I'll dump you on the ground out in an open field and bring in all the crows and vultures for a sumptuous carry-on lunch. I'll invite wild animals from all over the world to gorge on your guts. I'll scatter hunks of your meat in the mountains and stew your bones in the valleys. The country right up to the mountains will be drenched with your blood filling every ditch and channel. When I blot you out, I pull the curtain on the skies and shut out the stars. I'll throw a cloud across the sun and turn off the moonlight. I'll turn out every light in the sky above you and put your land in the dark. Decree of God, the Master. I'll shake up everyone worldwide. When I take you off captive to strange and far off countries, I'll shock people with you. Kings will take one look and shudder. I'll shake my word, and they'll shake in their boots. On the day you crash, they'll tremble, thinking that could be me. God the Master says, the sword of the king of Babylon is coming against you. I use swords of champions to lay your pride low. Use the most brutal of nations to knock Egypt off her high horse, to puncture that hot air pomposity. I'll destroy all their livestock that graze along the river. Neither human foot nor animal hoof will muddy those waters anymore. I'll clear their springs and streams, make their rivers flow clean and smooth. Decree of God the Master, when I turn Egypt back to the wild and strip her clean of all her abundant produce. When I strike dead all who live there, then they'll realize that I am God. This is a funeral song. Chant it. Daughters of the nations, chant it. Chant it over Egypt for the death of its pomp. Decree of God, the Master. In the 12th year, on the 15th day of the first month, God's message came to me. Son of man, lament over Egypt's pompous ways. Send her on her way. Dispatch Egypt and her proud daughter nations to the underworld, down to the country of the dead and buried. Say, you think you're high and mighty. Down, take your place with the heathen in that unhallowed grave. She'll be dumped in with those killed in battle. The sword is bared. Drag her off in all her proud pomp. All the big men and their helpers down among the dead and buried will greet them. Welcome to the grave of the heathen. Join the ranks of the victims of war. Assyria is there and its congregation, the whole nation a cemetery. Their graves are in the deepest part of the underworld, a congregation of graves, all killed in battle. These people who terrorized the land of the living. Elam is there in all her pride, a cemetery, all killed in battle, dumped in her heathen grave with the dead and buried. These people who terrorize the land of the living, they carry their shame with them, along with the others in the grave. They turned Elam into a resort for the pompous dead, landscaped with heathen graves, slaughtered in battle. They once terrorized the land of the living. Now they carry their shame down with others in the deep earth. They're in the section set aside for the slain in battle. Meshech Tabal is there in all her pride, a cemetery in uncircumcised ground, dumped in with those slaughtered in battle, just deserts for terrorizing the land of the living. Now they carry their shame down with the others in deep earth. They're in the section set aside for the slain. They're segregated from the heroes, the old time giants who entered the grave in full battle dress, their swords placed under their heads and their shields covering their bones. Those heroes who spread terror through the land of the living. And you, Egypt, will be dumped in a heathen grave along with all the rest in the section set aside for the slain. Edom is there with her kings and princes. In spite of her vaunted greatness, she is dumped in the heathen grave with others headed for the grave. The princes of the north are there, the whole lot of them, and all the Sidonians who carry their shame to their graves, all that terror they spread with their brute power, dumped in unhallowed ground with those killed in battle, carrying their shame with the others headed for deep earth. Pharaoh will see them all and pompous. Old goat that he is, take comfort in the company he'll keep. Pharaoh and his slaughtered army, decree of God, the master. I used him to spread terror in the land of the living, and now I'm dumping him in heathen ground with those killed by the sword. Pharaoh and all his pomp, decree of God, the master. Ezekiel chapter 33. God's message came to me. Son of man, speak to your people. Tell them, if I bring war on this land and the people take one of their citizens and make their watchman. And if the watchman sees war coming and blows the trumpet, warning the people, then if anyone hears the sound of the trumpet and ignores it, and war comes and takes him off, it's his own fault. He heard the alarm, he ignored it. It's his own fault. If he had listened, he would have saved his life. But if the watchman sees war coming and doesn't blow the trumpet, warning the people, and war comes and takes anyone off, I'll hold the watchman responsible for the bloodshed of any unwarned sinner. You, son of man, are the watchman. I've made you a watchman for Israel. The minute you hear a message from me, warn them. If I say to the wicked man, wicked woman, you are on the fast track to death, and you don't speak up and warn the wicked to change their ways, the wicked will die unwarned in their sins, and I'll hold you responsible for their bloodshed. But if you warn the wicked to change their ways and they don't do it, they'll die in their sins, well warned, and at least you will have saved your own life. Son of man, speak to Israel. Tell them you've said, our rebellions and sins are weighing us down. We're wasting away. How can we go on living? Tell them, as sure as I am the living God, I take no pleasure from the death of the wicked. I want the wicked to change their ways and live. Turn your life around, reverse your evil ways. Why die, Israel? There's more, son of man. Tell your people a good person's good life won't save him when he decides to rebel, and a bad person's bad life won't prevent him from repenting of his rebellion. A good person who sins can't expect to live when he chooses to sin. It's true that I tell good people, live, be alive, but if they trust in their good deeds and turn to evil, that good life won't amount to a hill of beans. They'll die for their evil life. On the other hand, if I tell a wicked person, you die for your wicked life, and he repents of his sin and starts living a righteous and just life, being generous to down and out, restoring what he had stolen, cultivating life nourishing ways that don't hurt others, he'll live. He won't die. None of his sins will be kept on the books. He's doing what's right, living a good life. He'll live. Your people say, the master's way isn't fair, but it's not, but it's the way they're living that isn't fair. When good people turn back from living good lives and plunge into sin, they'll die for it. And when a wicked person turns away from his wicked life and starts living a just and righteous life, he'll come alive. Still, you keep on saying, the master's way isn't fair. We'll see. Israel, I'll decide on each of you exactly according to how you live. In the 12th year of our exile, on the 5th day of the 10th month, a survivor from Jerusalem came to me and said, "The city's fallen." The evening before the survivor arrived, the hand of God had been on me and restored my speech. By the time he arrived in the morning, I was able to speak. I could talk again. God's message came to me, "Son of man, those who are living in the ruins back in Israel are saying Abraham was only one man and he owned the whole country. But there are lots of us. Our ownership is even more certain. So tell them, God the Master says, you eat flesh that contains blood. You worship no God idols. You murder at will. You expect to own this land. You rely on the sword. You engage in obscenities. You indulge in sex at random, anyone, anytime, and you still expect to own this island. Tell them this, Ezekiel, the message of God, the Master assures I am living, the living God. Those who are still alive and in ruins will be killed. Anyone out in the field, I'll give to wild animals for food. Anyone hiding out in mountain forts and caves will die of disease. I'll make this country an empty wasteland. No more arrogant bullies. Israel's mountains will become dangerously desolate. No one will dare pass through them. They'll realize that I am God when I devastate the country because of all the obscenities they've practiced. As for you, son of man, you've become quite the talk of the town. Your people meet on street corners and in front of their houses and say, "Let's go hear the latest news from God." They show up as people tend to do and sit in your company. They listen to you speak, but don't do a thing you say. They flatter you with compliments, but all they care about is making money and getting ahead. To them, you're merely entertainment, a country singer of sad love songs, playing a guitar. They love to hear you talk, but nothing comes of it. But when all this happens, and it is going to happen, they'll realize that a prophet was among them. Chapter 34. God's message came to me, "Son of man, prophesy against the shepherd leaders of Israel." Yes, prophesy. Tell those shepherds, God the Master says, "Doom to you, shepherds of Israel, feeding your own mouths. Aren't shepherds supposed to feed sheep? You drink the milk. You make clothes from the wool. You roast the lambs, but you don't feed the sheep. You don't build up the weak ones. Don't deal the sick, don't heal the sick, don't doctor the injured, don't go after the strays, don't look for the lost. You bully and badger them, and now they're scattered every which way because there was no shepherd. Scattered and easy pickings for wolves and coyotes. Scattered my sheep, exposed and vulnerable across mountains and hills. My sheep scattered all over the world, and no one out looking for them. Therefore, shepherds, listen to the message of God, as sure as I am the living God, decree of God, the Master, because my sheep have been turned into mere prey, into easy meals for wolves, because you shepherds ignored them and only fed yourselves. Listen to what God has to say. Watch out, I'm coming down on the shepherds and taking my sheep back. They're fired as shepherds of my sheep. No more shepherds who just feed themselves. I'll rescue my sheep from their greed. They're not going to feed off my sheep any longer. God, the Master, says, from now on, I myself am the shepherd. I'm going looking for them as shepherds go after their flocks. When they get scattered, I'm going after my sheep. I'll rescue them from all the places they've been scattered to in the storms. I'll bring them back from foreign peoples, gather them from foreign countries and bring them back to their home country. I'll feed them on the mountains of Israel along the streams among their own people. I'll lead them into lush pasture so they can roam the mountain pastures of Israel, graze at leisure, feed in the rich pastures on the mountains of Israel, and I myself will be the shepherd of my sheep. I myself will make sure they get plenty of rest. I'll go after the lost. I'll collect the strays. I'll doctor the injured. I'll build up the weak ones and oversee the strong ones so they're not exploited. And as for you, my dear flock, I'm stepping in and judging between one sheep and another, between rams and goats. Aren't you satisfied to feed in good pasture without taking over the whole place? Can't you be satisfied to drink from the clear stream without muddying the water with your feet? Why do the rest of my sheep have to make do with grass that's trampled down and water that's been muddied? Therefore, God, the Master, says, I myself am stepping in and making things right between the plump sheep and the skinny sheep, because you forced your way with shoulder and rump and butted at all the weaker animals with your horns till you scattered them all over the hills. I'll come in and save my dear flock. No longer let them be pushed around. I'll step in and set things right between one sheep and another. I'll appoint one shepherd over them all, my servant David. He'll feed them. He'll be their shepherd, and I, God, will be their God. My servant David will be their prince. I, God, have spoken. I'll make a covenant of peace with them. I'll banish fierce animals from the country so the sheep can live safely in the wilderness and sleep in the forest. I'll make them and everything around my hill a blessing. I'll send down plenty of rain in season, showers of blessing. The trees in the orchards will bear fruit. The ground will produce. They'll feel content and safe on their land, and they'll realize that I am God when I break them out of their slavery and rescue them from their slave masters. No longer will they be exploited by outsiders and ravaged by fierce beasts. They'll live safe and sound, fearless and free. I'll give them rich gardens, lavish in vegetables, no more living half starved, no longer taunted by outsiders. They'll know beyond doubting that I, God, am their God, and that I'm with them, and that they, the people Israel, are my people. Decree of God, the Master. You are my dear flock, the flock of my pasture, my human flock, and I am your God. Decree of God, the Master. Chapter 35. God's message came to me, Son of man, confront Mount Seir, prophesy against it, tell them, God, the Master says, I'm coming down hard on you, Mount Seir. I'm stepping in and turning you to a pile of rubble. I'll reduce your towns and piles of rocks. There'll be nothing left of you. Then you'll realize that I am God. I'm doing this because you've kept this age-old grudge going against Israel. You viciously attacked them when they were already down, looking their final punishment in the face. Therefore, as sure as I am the living God, I'm lining you up for a real bloodbath. Since you love blood so much, you'll be chased by rivers of blood. I'll reduce Mount Seir to a heap of rubble. No one will either come or go from that place. I'll blanket your mountains with corpses. Massacred bodies will cover your hills and fill up your valleys and ditches. I'll reduce you to ruins, and all your towns will be ghost towns, population zero. Then you realize that I am God. Because you said these two nations, these two countries are mine, I'm taking over, even though God is right there watching, right there listening. I'll turn your hate, bloated anger, and rage right back on you. You'll know I mean business when I bring judgment on you. You'll realize then that I, God, have overheard all the vile abuse you've poured out against the mountains of Israel, saying they're roadkill and we're going to eat them up. You've strutted around talking so big, insolently pitting yourselves against me, and I've heard it all. This is the verdict of God the Master, with the whole earth applauding. I'll demolish you since you danced in the streets, thinking it was so wonderful when Israel's inheritance was demolished. I'll give you the same treatment. Demolition, Mount Seir demolished. Yes, every square inch of Edom. Then they'll realize that I am God. We're going to finish right there at chapter 35, picking up at chapter 36. Be on the lookout. I'll see if I'll go live on New Year's Day. I'll be doing a crossover service here at my home. But Happy New Year, and I'll see you really, really soon. Be blessed.